Call to order City Council meeting number 1335 for the City of Forest Park, May 6, 2019. Let us stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The clerk call the roll, please.
Burns. Collins.
Here.
Herbie.
Here.
Holt.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Nuss.
Here.
Is there a motion, Councilwoman Herbie?
Yes, I would move to excuse Councilmember Burns.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we excuse Mr. Burns. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, with the all those in favor of excusing Mr. Burns, let it be known by the sign of voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Burns is excused. Next item is item number 2, the minutes. You all received copies of the minutes. Is there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Hearing none, we will move to item number 3, presentation. There is a motion, Councilwoman Herbie.
Yes, I would move to amend the agenda and take up at this time item G under new business, a motion to appoint candidates to boards or commissions.
Second.
Moved and second that we amend the agenda and take up at this time item G on the new business, which will be a motion to appoint a candidate to boards or commissions. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the motion to amend?
Collins.
Yes.
Herbie.
Yes.
Holt.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes,
Moore.
Yes.
Nuss.
Yes.
the motion to amend the agenda is passed. To take up item G. At this time, I would entertain a motion, Councilwoman Holt.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to appoint Mr. Ronald Johnson to the Economic Development Commission for the term expiring 11/30/20.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we appoint Mr. Ronald Johnson to the Economic Development Commission for a term expiring 11/30/20. Is there any discussion?
No, thank you.
Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There's no opposed. And I would just note for the record that Mr. Burns is present at 8:03. Mr. Johnson. Sir, how are you? Been a while.
Been a long time.
Good to see you again.
To see you.
Will you raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, and state your name,
I, Ronald Johnson,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of Ohio,
of the State of Ohio,
the Charter
the Charter
of the City
of the City
of Forest Park,
of Forest
Ohio,
Park, Ohio,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as a member of the Economic Development Commission.
as a member of the Economic Commission.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Of course, you have to have a word.
Oh, I would just like to say thank you all for the opportunity, and I am hoping that I'm going to be able to add value to this commission and be able to learn and just continue contributing to one of the greatest cities in the world, Forest Park. Thank you.
Sir, here you go.
Oh,
And this is for you as a token of our appreciation.
thank you.
Thank you for volunteering to serve your city.
Okay, so we will move down to item number 4, communications from the public. This is the time for citizens to comment on matters before council or to ask questions of concern to them. When recognized, please come forward to the podium, give your name and address, and then state your comments or questions. Council meetings are tape recorded for ease of transcription, and comments are limited to 5 minutes. Before we do that, as is our custom, while you are all welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, You do not have to. If you feel like you want to leave at this point, we take a minute or two break for you to do that. Well, no. Well, that's the only item. Okay, we'll talk about it. Okay. Is there anyone here who would like to address the council as part of communications from the public? Get on up there. Come on, Mrs. Smith. Okay, seeing no one approaching the podium, we will go to item number 5, report of standing committees. The first of those being Human Resources Committee, Councilwoman Holt.
I do not have a report tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions for Councilwoman Holt? Hearing none, Councilwoman Holt, I don't have any items for you for the work session on the 13th. Do you have any to add?
No, I do not, but can I back up 1 second?
Sure.
On behalf of the Beautification Commission, Mother's Day is coming up, and the rule is, I've heard, that you plant your flowers right after Mother's Day. So the judging is going to be done in June. So I might suggest that you start planting your flowers the day after Mother's Day. We look forward to seeing the city of Forest Park lit up with plants. That will conclude my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, any questions for Councilwoman Holt? Hearing none, thank you, Councilwoman Holt. The next report, Public Improvement and Facilities Commission, Councilwoman Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do not have a report at this time.
Any questions for Councilwoman Moore? Councilwoman Moore, I have no items on the agenda for you for the work session on the 13th. Do you have any to add?
No, I do not, but I would like to make a comment about activities that have been going on throughout the city.
Go right ahead.
Know Your Numbers, health screening that was April the 27th was a huge success. Our partners were We Thrive, the fire department, and Kroger's, and so we had a nice turnout of residents. And so I just wanted to commend all the committee members who were responsible for putting that health screening on. And then the other thing is our gospel brunch. It was a huge success, and we want to thank the residents for coming out and serving through faith. And so we want to continue that great program. That completes my report.
Any questions for Councilwoman Moore? Councilwoman Moore, I have no items for you, and I believe you said you did not have any to add. Is that correct?
No.
Next standing committee report is Public Safety Committee, Councilwoman Nuss.
I do not have a report at this time. Just want to say that May 5th through the 11th is Arson Awareness Week. So be mindful of that. Specifically in the theme is concerning arson at construction sites. And then also we have our officers, our police officers, and our fire department do a wonderful job of sharing with our Winton Woods high schoolers the dangers of drinking and driving on prom night. And so they did an event over there, and it was really nice.
Okay, any questions for Councilwoman Nuss? Hearing none, Councilwoman Nuss, I have no items on the agenda for you for the work session. Do you have any to add?
Yes, I do. in the meeting that we just came out of, and also kind of dating all the way back to August, there were some things that I had noted in a report after attending a conference and received some information on our strategic plan, and had a subsequent meeting with the then city manager, Ray, and a couple department heads. In the meeting we just concluded, Mr. Jones, our new city manager, brought up some things that they are kind of instituting and working on. Sounds really, really great. Educate, engage, enhance, and enforce. And when it comes to the engagement, thank you. And when it comes to the engagement aspect of it, I believe that perhaps a more comprehensive and inclusive strategic plan session could really help in kind of the visioning process for the city of Forest Park, and then help with our partners and engagement and making sure that that vision is then fulfilled and supported as a community. So I would like to talk about the strategic plan at work session.
Okay. Councilwoman Nuss, I'm going to ask that you hold off on that one for next Monday, because I know that our city manager is going to be out of the city, and I would hope that we will do that at a time when he would be present.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next committee report is Ways and Means Committee. Councilwoman Herbie.
Yes, if you have been down on Northland Boulevard, you will notice that the demolition on North Point Shopping Center has started, and this is a $3.7 million project to convert this retail facility into an expansion by Magna Machines. And we want to thank all of our staff that's worked on this and all of the partners who have helped in the financing of this, the state and the county. So this is a wonderful project to redevelop that underperforming shopping center. Also, in the environmental awareness program, all initial residents who registered in December for tree removal program, all of those have been serviced. There's still approximately $6,000 in the fund, and we, with the contractor, we have agreed to continue until all the funds have been exhausted for this year. We calculate that we could probably service 13 additional houses before the funding is gone. And to date, the program has removed 49 trees from 25 properties. The energy aggregation program will be on the November ballot. We're looking to put that on the ballot. And on the reforesting Forest Park, the program began in mid-April. 4 trees have been selected for this year: the Colorado spruce, the red maple, and the pink and white dogwoods. 16 trees have already been reserved, so you can still participate in that program. And the large appliance collection program began in mid-April as well, and approximately 10 appliances have already been collected. And that program will continue until the end of August. So encourage people to check out forestpark.org/environmental for all of the environmental awareness programs.
Any questions of Councilwoman Herbie? Hearing none, Councilwoman Herbie, I have one item on the agenda for the work session, citywide master lease. Do you have anything to add?
Nope.
Next report, community development, Mr. Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Couple of things. As everyone knows, it's getting sunny outside, and the grass is growing quite rapidly. That means that our property maintenance teams are enforcing our grass and other maintenance activities that may be required by ordinance. So please, our residents, please make sure you maintain your grass and lawns so that the city won't have to help you. On another note, there's been several home sales throughout the city in the month of April at very decent market values that have come out. So throughout the city, that's very encouraging for us as a city as we revitalize ourselves. And with that, I would conclude my report.
Questions for Mr. Burns? Hearing none. Mr. Burns, I have no items for you. Do you have any to add?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Next committee is Law Committee. Councilwoman Collins.
Mr. Mayor, I do not have a report from the Law Committee at this time. However, I am available for questions.
Questions for Councilwoman Collins? Councilwoman Collins, I have no items for you. Do you have any to add?
No, I do not.
Next committee is Intergovernmental Relations and Communications Committee. I have no report. I would answer any questions if there are any. Move to item number 6, the mayor's report. Mr. Wood mentioned a couple of activities that we've done that were very successful, one being the Arbor Day in conjunction with the parks and the other Gospel Fest, and I wanted to take this opportunity to thank all of those committee people and staff people who participated in those activities to help make them a success. I think there are 2 very important events that our city undertakes each year. And for those of you who were not fortunate enough to get to attend the Gospel Fest this year, it was different in terms of the type of music and the those people who were the entertainers, but it was very well done. As a matter of fact, I believe from my estimation, not my estimation, but from talking to other people there who were involved, the crowd, the attendance this year was up from the last couple of years considerably. As I said, it has changed somewhat in terms of the age of the participants as well as the age of the audiences, but nonetheless, it was very well done. And again, I want to thank all those people who had a hand in making that those events great, as well as thanking those people who attended. Also, just a heads up for something down the road this summer. The County Commission is rolling out a project where it will be doing meetings outside throughout the county. We've been one of the places that where they would like to do that, have their meeting. These are not special meetings. This would be a regularly scheduled meeting of the Council Commission. So it's not like this is something that that they would be doing that's new and different. It's a regular meeting, but they are trying to carry their message out and what the county is doing out further than within the bounds of the city of Cincinnati. So there's a very good possibility that we will be, Forest Park will be the site of one of those. Let me hasten to say, Forest Park is not sponsoring this meeting. We don't sponsor meetings of this nature. This is a meeting of the County Commission. It's not yet a done deal, but we're working in that direction. And I will keep you informed as we go. That will conclude my report. I'll answer any questions if there are any. Next report, item number 7, City Manager's Report. Mr. Jones.
Well, I'll try and keep it short and sweet this evening. I did attend the Economic Development Commission last week and met Mr. Johnson. I think he'll do a great job on the commission. I did also attend the Parks and Rec Commission with Council Member Norton, and she ran that committee, and it was very, very good meeting. And some of the things that they talked about there were they're going to go out and take a bus or a van, I guess, for lack of a better term, and go tour all the parks to make sure that they really understand and take a good look. But I would invite all council members and all members of the public to go take a look at our parks. And if you see something that you like, let us know. If you see something you think we could do better, let us know that as well. We did look at the Jazz Fest area, and we're planning for that. Just a heads up for the public, that will change this year in terms of where the stage is going to be. And that will then change where people would normally put their tents. So if you're one of those folks that normally puts a tent and shows up there a day early or whatever, keep an eye out. We'll be putting out more information, but essentially, the stage is going to be here by the street, by the school, and the tents would then be out by the ballparks, just kind of the opposite of where it was last year. That keeps the stage out of the mud and on the concrete, and allows, I think, better flow and better traffic. So there'll be some parking changes and some logistical changes where people that are used to doing something, it may change the way they do it. So just keep your eyes open, and we'll be putting out more information when we finally get a little closer to that time. The piggybacking on what Councilman Burns said earlier, the grass. It is that time of the year. Make sure you're cutting your grass, but also we are getting ready to implement a different strategy and a different program for letting folks know when that's going to happen. We're going to educate folks first and let people know about the program. But essentially, you might see a whole bunch of yellow signs. And I'll tell City Council about it as we move forward with it. It's still in the planning stage, but it will involve placing large placards in people's yards, just to let them know, hey, that they're in violation, and to let their neighbors know that the city cares and the city's been there, so they don't have to keep calling to know that basically something's being done about it. But also don't forget your garbage, in terms of, it's that time of year, people are out. If you see something, pick it up, please. But store your garbage properly. Parking over sidewalks is real inconvenient to your neighbors. It's also against the law. People are walking down the street now. It's going to be sunny. Kids are out with bikes and strollers. And, if your neighbors have to walk out into the street to get around your car, you're really inconveniencing them, and you're also making it very, very unsafe for the children in your neighborhood. So please respect your neighbors and try not to do that. And then finally, garbage cans. Those need to be stored properly in a place where you really can't see them. And again, people are out, people are walking, people are driving, and we have that opportunity where people just see more things. So, let's take care of each other and be respectful of each other in terms of how we live together. Finally, I think that's probably about it for this evening, Mayor. If I have any other questions, I'll be glad to address them.
Question for our city manager? Hearing none, thank you, sir. Next item is item number 8. Other reports, first of those being Law Director, Mr. Wyckoff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you know, there's an amendment to Section 73.20 regarding parking of trailers. I was contacted by the chief and lieutenant and asked to address that issue since they had been getting more and more complaints about it. Also, I obtained orders from the Hamilton County Common Police Court on 2 separate items. One, to destroy some drugs that have been maintained in our evidence locker that are no longer needed for conviction purposes, and also to dispose of some personal property that's no longer necessary and hasn't been claimed if it was lost materials or actually found materials. And then we had to address this issue. The United States Sixth Circuit of Appeals, which governs our jurisdiction, found that police marking tires on cars parked longer than a certain period of time with chalk was an illegal search of that vehicle. So we had to amend. I worked with the chief, and we came up with a proposal that now our officers currently put a penny on top of the car, heads up, and then they know if that penny's been moved as the tire moves or not, and they log that in. Now the officers are going to be taking photographs of a chalk mark on the street that lines up with something peculiar about that tire. It might be the first O in Goodyear, whatever it is, but it's going to take their effort to now mark the street, take a photograph, come back 72 hours plus later, repeat the photograph so we can match it up that we have a violation. So that was a little different decision that we weren't quite ready for. Finally, the city of Cincinnati is taking a case to the United States Supreme Court the Ohio State Supreme Court that deals with vicious dog designation. Now a dangerous dog, you have to go through almost an administrative procedure, have hearings and everything. And the city of Cincinnati is trying to circumvent that legislature. They haven't even argued it yet, so it could be 6 months to a year before we get some clarification on application of the dangerous dog statute. The important thing for municipalities is if you have a dog that bites somebody and that dog is then designated as a dangerous dog because of that conduct, that person could be subject to a 4th-degree misdemeanor, a larger fine, and what have you. Currently, the First District Court of Appeals is telling the city of Cincinnati, no, you've got to go through this administrative procedure that basically gives that dog a free bite. And that's what the city of Cincinnati is trying to eliminate. So I'll be watching that carefully to see if that's of any help, because, these cases typically deal with somebody getting bit by a dog. That's the end of my report unless somebody has any questions.
Any questions for city manager?
I just have one. Do we have any pit bull ordinances or legislation here at Forest Park that you can, whether or not you can or cannot own them?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Whether or not you can or cannot own a pit bull?
Oh, no, we cannot do that. No.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that several years ago, that was a common ordinance, but then the Supreme Court of Ohio said you can't pick out one particular breed because there are some pit bulls that are found to be very nice dogs. So you can't say, well, all pit bulls are bad, so.
We just had 2 in our neighborhood just kind of running. So that's
They have to be leashed.
that's a violation.
You have a
right?
lease
Okay.
law, yeah. One of the other things, and I believe it's the city of Akron, they attacked the problem from the other end, which seems to be working extremely well. While you can't designate a breed or even dangerous dogs, cities can require dog owners to have, they can require them to have a very, I think in Akron it's $100,000 liability insurance.
We have that also.
So we can require anybody who owns a dog in Forest Park to have a liability insurance that would be whatever we wanted to set it. And one of the things that they found is when they enacted that particular law, the number of dog owners, especially those folk who were having dogs for devious purposes, went down.
Our greatest problem in enforceability is we get no help from the SPCA. They're so short-handed that they cannot come out and retrieve dogs. They basically put it on our police officers to do that. So.
Same thing with cats. Okay, Mr. Burns.
And I'm not sure if, John, it's you or Donnie, it's you, but a few months ago, we had the conversation about feral cats. What's the status of that?
I can probably answer that because I think Chris reported on this at the next to the last staff meeting, if not the last staff meeting. They are following through. They have removed a number of them, but as John just alluded to, part of the problem has to do with the SPCA will not remove or take, not just remove, but they won't take them if euthanizing is part of the solution. They don't want to do that, and they won't do that. So we are faced with having to, even when we trap them and catch them, to find some other way, something other than use of the SPCA to get rid of them. But it is being done.
Okay, because we knew that going in.
Yeah, but it makes it slower.
I can tell you the homeowner at that location was cited, came to court, was very cooperative. pled guilty. I mean, didn't fight it at all. And she indicated that she was eliminating the food source and closing her garage door. Now, that was about 6-8 weeks ago, and I haven't heard any complaints since. So hopefully that she followed through.
Okay, thank you. Because I think the overall concern is we have this population of cats now.
Right.
And although she may do the things that she's doing in compliance, that's great, but we have this population of wild, feral cats that we need to figure out how we're going to, address, because they'll just go to another community or go someplace where there is a food source. And so
And that's a personnel issue. We don't have animal control here. And so we've always relied upon the SPCA, and now with budget cuts, the SPCA doesn't have enough people to handle these issues, so they're not getting handled, to be quite honest.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We will ask Don to touch base back with Chris and to give us, send us have him to give us a written update or email update. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wyckoff. Next report, item B, Clerk of Council, Ms. Dirks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to report that ordinance number 08-2019 was posted as required, and that concludes my report.
Questions for Clerk of Council? Hearing none, thanks, Mr. Dirksen. Next item on the agenda is new business. Is there a motion, Mr. Burns?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we suspend the rules requiring the reading in full on 2 separate days and read for the first time by title only, ordinance number 09-2019 through 14-2019. These ordinances were posted 6 days prior to this meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we suspend the rules requiring the reading in full on 2 separate days and read for the first time by title only, ordinances number 09-2019 through 14-2019. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll on the motion to suspend?
Burns,
Yes.
Collins,
Yes.
Herbie,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Nuss.
Yes.
Motion to suspend passes 7-0. The first item under new business is item A, ordinance number 09-2019. Would the clerk please read this ordinance by title only?
Ordinance number 09-2019, an ordinance amending Chapter 73, stopping and parking of the codified ordinances of the City of Forest Park as it relates to Section 73.20, parking of oversized and commercial vehicles.
This is a first reading, so is this a voting issue tonight?
No.
Okay. This item will be on the agenda for a vote at the next regularly scheduled council meeting. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move to item B, ordinance number 10-2019. Will the clerk please read this ordinance by title only?
Ordinance number 10-2019, an ordinance providing for the issuance of not to exceed $105,000 in building improvement bond anticipation notes by the City of Forest Park, Ohio, in anticipation of the issuance of bonds of the city and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion, Councilwoman Herbie?
Yes, I move adoption of ordinance number 10-2019.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance number 10-2019. Is there a discussion, Councilwoman Herbie?
Yes, this is the first of a series of 5 ordinances. This is a routine thing that we do every year. When we have outstanding debt, we pay down a portion of it and we have to reissue it each year at the reduced rate. That is going to be addressed in 2 of the ordinances tonight. And then we also issue new debt, and then we also issue an ordinance to combine all of it together and put it out for purchase or put it out for being dealt with as a combined ordinance. This first one is a new issuance for improvements, particularly to the council chambers, for dealing with the roof And if the estimate comes in under what we had budgeted, we may also apply some to working on the audio system. But the amount will be for building improvements, and I would urge adoption of this ordinance.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll on ordinance 10, 2019?
Collins,
Yes.
Herbie,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Nuss,
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Ordinance 10-2019 passes 7-0. Next item is item C, ordinance number 11, 2019. Would the clerk please read this ordinance by title only?
Ordinance number 11-2019, an ordinance providing for the issuance of not to exceed $475,000 street improvement bond anticipation notes by the City of Forest Park, Ohio, in anticipation of the issuance of bonds of the city and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion, Councilwoman Herbie?
Yes. I would move adoption of ordinance number 11-2019.
Second.
Moved and second that we adopt ordinance 11, 2019. Is there a discussion, Councilwoman Herbie?
Yes, this is the second of the new debt issuance notes or bond anticipation notes, and this is for our annual street improvement. We usually pick out 3 or 4 streets each year for improvement, and this will cover that. So I would urge adoption of this ordinance.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk call the roll on 11, 2019?
Herbie,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Nuss,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Ordinance 11, 2019 passes 7-0. Next item is item D, ordinance number 12, 2019. Would the clerk please read this ordinance by title only?
Ordinance number 12-2019, an ordinance providing for the issuance of not to exceed $898,000 various purpose bond anticipation notes, 2019 renewal by the City of Forest Park, Ohio, in anticipation of the issuance of bonds of the city and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Herbie?
I would move to adopt ordinance number 12-2019.
Second.
Been moved and second that we adopt ordinance 12, 2019. Is there a discussion, Councilwoman Herbie?
This is one of the renewals of the outstanding debt for covering things like sidewalks, street lighting, traffic signals, past municipal building improvements, other projects that we've had in the works previously that we've paid down. And this is for approximately $900,000. I would urge adoption of this ordinance.
Any further discussion? Hearing now, would the clerk please call the roll on ordinance number 12, 2019?
Holt,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Nuss,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Collins,
Yes.
Herbie.
Yes.
Ordinance 12, 2019 passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda, item E, ordinance 13, 2019. Clerk, please read this ordinance by title only.
Ordinance number 13-2019, an ordinance providing for the issuance of not to exceed $2,710,000 various purpose bond anticipation notes, 2019 renewal by the City of Forest Park, Ohio, in anticipation of the issuance of bonds of the city and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Herbie?
Yes, I would move adoption of ordinance number 13-2019.
Second.
Second.
Been moved and second that we adopt ordinance 13-2019. Is there a discussion, Councilwoman Herbie?
Yes, this is for various purpose bond acquisition notes, covers things like improvements that we'd made to Winton Gilmore and other street improvements and past constructions on municipal buildings and the apron at Station 42, past land equipment purchases, and a number of other things. And so I would urge adoption of this ordinance.
Second. I'm jumping.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll on 13-2019?
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Nuss,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Collins,
Yes.
Herbie,
Yes.
Holt.
Yes.
13-2019 passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda, item F. Would the clerk please read this is ordinance number 14, 2019. Would the clerk please read this ordinance by title only?
Ordinance number 14-2019. An ordinance providing for the issuance of not to exceed $4,188,000 various purpose bond anticipation notes by the City of Forest Park, Ohio, in anticipation of the issuance of bonds of the city and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Herbie.
Yes, I would move to adopt ordinance number 14-2019.
And second by Councilwoman Nuss.
That's what I wanted, that's the one.
She wanted to hold.
The one in there.
All right. Any discussion, Councilwoman Herbie?
Yes, this is the ordinance which combines all of the four previous resolutions into one legislation to put this all out to issue for a total amount. And I would urge adoption of this. I do want to say that normally we deal with this in like late July, August, and we were told by the finance director that they set in process last year to move all of this earlier in the yearly cycle for a couple of reasons. One is so that we weren't jammed up against our recess, and the other thing is because we get more favorable rates at this time of year. So I would urge adoption of this ordinance.
Further discussion. Mr. Burns had a question.
Well, actually, and that is true, but we also requested that
Yeah.
happen earlier as well, so there would be no confusion and disruption. The other thing I wanted to summarize in this whole series of ordinances is that so that everyone is clear why these are emergencies. And I don't know if we covered that or not. However, part of the reasons that this is an emergency for the purposes of the public is that these bonds have a time-sensitive nature to go to market. And in order for the finance department to do the best job that they can, we cannot hold up that process by the delay of the normal week-long process to read and then vote. So that's why these are emergencies, and that's why you typically will see them annually as emergencies. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll? Ordinance 14-2019.
Moore,
Yes.
Nuss,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Collins,
Yes.
Herbie,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Ordinance 14-2019 passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is item H. Councilwoman Herbie.
I would move to receive the general fund summary report as contained in the departmental reports.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we receive the general fund summary report as contained in the departmental reports. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Is there any further business to come before the council? Any further business to come before the body? Hearing none, we're adjourned.